All right, moving on, US President Donald Trump has announced that South Africa would not be invited to next year's G20 summit in Miami, taking its diplomatic offensive against the country to a whole new level here. Well, US has boycotted the leaders' summit in Johannesburg last week, which South Africa called a punitive measure against it. The G20 leaders adopted a declaration on Saturday to address the climate crisis and other global challenges, and this is despite US objections, prompting the White House to accuse South Africa of weaponizing its leadership of the group this year. On Truth Social, Trump cited South Africa's refusal to symbolically hand off the G20 presidency at the end of this year's summit to the US, adding that, at his direction, South Africa would not be receiving an invitation to the 2026 G20 summit, which will be hosted in Miami, Florida. Now, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa's office called Trump's post regrettable. Since taking office for the second time in January, Trump has been critical of South African government's domestic and foreign policies. The South African president's office said that it is regrettable that despite the efforts and numerous attempts by Ramaphosa and his administration to reset the diplomatic relations between US and South Africa, President Trump continues to apply punitive measures against South Africa, and based on what it called misinformation and distortion about his country. Well, Trump has repeatedly alleged that South Africa's black majority government persecutes its white minority and that there was a genocide of white farmers in the country. In a White House meeting in May, Trump confronted South Africa's leader with claims of white genocide. Trump said on Wednesday that his administration was going to stop all payments and subsidies to South Africa, effective immediately. Back in February, Trump signed an executive order in February to cut financial assistance for South Africa, citing disapproval of its land policy and of its genocide case at the International Court of Justice against Washington's ally, Israel. And for more, our correspondent Calden Ogmu has sent us this report on why South Africa calls Trump's measures punitive. Take a look.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has noted Trump's statement as regrettable. He also confirmed that instruments of the G20 presidency were duly handed over to a US embassy official at the headquarters of South Africa's Department of International Relations and Cooperation. Ramaphosa further added that South Africa is a member of the G20 in its own name and right and does not appreciate insults from another country about its worth in participating in global platforms. He said South Africa will continue to participate as a full, active and constructive member of the G20 and called on members to reaffirm its continued operation in the spirit of multilateralism. The statement from South Africa's presidency further stated that it is regrettable that despite the efforts and numerous attempts by Ramaphosa and his administration to reset the diplomatic relationship with the US, Trump continues to apply punitive measures against South Africa based on misinformation and distortions.